This is Rob Tebbutt for ID Boxing. Delighted to be joined by Tony Sims. We're in the immediate aftermath of John Ryder's TKO 5 win over Zach Parker to claim the WBO interim super middleweight title. Tony, first and foremost, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. Really pleased for John. He deserves, to be in this position. He's grinding away for years on end, and he's very unlucky against Callum Smith for the world title. Where most people thought he won and should have gone on to fight Canelo. But I think, being mandatory now for Canelo, I believe that the fight will happen.
Talk to me about the end of the fight. Obviously, a little bit of a confusing period for 30 seconds or so. We heard the announcement about the injury to Zach Parker's right hand. What was your understanding of the situation?
Yeah, he looked like he injured his right hand. But I think, most people looking at the fight, you could see sort of the writing on the wall. Zach's very inexperienced at world elite level, and John's been in with everybody really. And when you ain't boxed up at that level before, you could see that John was controlling the centre of the ring, and he was doing the pressing, and he started catching him with big shots, and you could sort of see the writing was going to be on the wall in that fight. But I'm sure, Zach will learn from this fight and come again.
You mentioned the Callum Smith fight, the Billy Joe Saunders fight many moons ago as well, but he's got the big win. He is now interim champion, and therefore his next fight is either going to be a defence of the WBO title or against Canelo Alvarez. What does that mean to John Ryder?
Yeah, it means everything to him, and as I say, he's 34 years old. He's been in this, he's been a pro probably as long as Canelo has. And he deserves his shot at him. He deserves it. And if Canelo don't want to box against the mandatory, then he obviously becomes elevated up to a full world champion and makes a defence of that title. But I believe that Canelo will fight John. I believe it'll be in May, and I'm hoping it'll be in Wembley.
Would you travel for that fight? Would John be willing to go over there? Obviously, May. We spoke to Canelo the other day. He said he'd be back for May, Cinco de Mayo weekend. Generally, that is a Vegas trip. Or do you think we'll be able to bring him over to the UK?
Well, that ain't down to me. That's down to Matchroom and Eddie Hearn. But what an achievement if Canelo come to Britain. He probably don't realise how big he is over here. And if he's a superstar over here. If he come over here, Wembley Stadium would be sold out. And what a great, unbelievable feat it would be for John Ryder to be in the opposite corner to him. And he deserves to be there.
I spoke to John at the press conference the other day. There was a comment made by one of the Queensbury staff about a difficult period for the gym recently. John and myself, I agreed that it was probably a reference to Conor Benn and the situation that he's been going through over the last 6 weeks or so. First question, how is Conor? How is the gym? And what's the mood at the minute?
I've had greater weeks in the last couple of months than we've had. Joe Caldina obviously got stripped of his IBF belt. He broke his hand in sparring, and obviously, what happened with Conor Benn with the testing. But I believe they'll both be fighting again in the new year. I believe Conor Benn will be vindicated. I know that he hasn't done anything. I know he's totally innocent. So, there's not loads that I can say, obviously, because he's in the lawyer's hands. But I believe that he'll be vindicated.
You mentioned that there, and I appreciate that there's certain things that you can and can't go into. You're so sure of his innocence. What makes you so sure of that?
Because he's with me all the time, and none of the dates rack up. And from the first testing to the next testing, none of them rack up. So, and he's with me 24/7. He goes on holiday with me and my family, so I know him inside out, and I know he's not that type of kid. He just would never do that. He wouldn't do it to me. He wouldn't do it to the gym. He certainly wouldn't do it to his dad. His dad's been living with him. It's horrendous to even think that he would do anything like that. And you've got your dad in the next room. So, and his dad's his hero. He's a legend in the sport. So, it's horrendous to even think that someone like him, Conor Benn, would even think about doing anything like this. And I know that he hasn't. So, we look forward to the hearing, and the truth will come out.
Final question on it, Tony. You know what boxing's like. Canelo is a name that's mentioned, Tyson Fury in the past. The list goes on. Does it upset you? Does it upset Conor that this will potentially hang over him as his career unfolds?
Yeah, of course it's upsetting. It's upset everyone in the gym, and everyone's had to battle through that. My other fighters like John, they go on Instagram and Twitter, and everyone accuses them of being steroid cheats as well. You know, it's an horrendous situation to be in, but it's even more horrendous when you know the kid's innocent. You know, and the media is like, I think it's been diabolical, to be honest, because what should have happened was this should have all been, he should have gone into his hearing like everybody else has a chance to go into the hearing, being found guilty or not guilty. He never had that chance. It was released to the press, you know, and the media and the people in boxing as well have been disgusting, to be honest. People that I know really, really well, you know, and it's funny because it's a small world, boxing. Everybody knows everybody in boxing, you know, and the ones who have been giving Conor Benn the most stick are the ones that don't lead the good life outside of their house. Do you know what I mean? Go and face your own family, your own children, and tell them what you've been doing. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's been disgusting, to be honest. And like a 26-year-old kid, you know, I've been ringing him twice a day, every day. You know, he's back in the gym now with me anyway, so I can't wait for the hearing to come up, to be honest.
Last thing, I don't want to dwell on it too much. You mentioned there about, you know, the media and everything that's happened. I think one of the things that seemingly has kind of riled people up the most, fans of the sport more so than media, is the decision to attempt to carry on with a fight. Just what's your view on that?
Well, I knew that he never done anything, so why shouldn't he? Do you know what I mean? As far as I was concerned and where he was concerned, he hasn't done anything. He's innocent of it all, so why shouldn't he fight?
Final question, let's bring it back to that man who's sitting over there now, the new WBO interim super middleweight champion. I know you mentioned it and referenced it earlier. It's been a long journey for yourself and John. How much does this mean to not only him but to the gym as well?
No, it's great. You know, I'm over the moon for John, you know, and if anyone deserved it, it's John. He's a long-serving student of this game. You know, he's been in it a long, long time. As I said earlier, he's 34 years old. He's fought near enough everybody, you know, and this year he beat Danny Jacobs earlier on in the year, and you know, and he's beat Zach Parker tonight. So he deserves his shot at Canelo.
Viva Mexico.
Exactly.
Tony Sims, always a pleasure. Thanks very much for speaking to ID Boxing.
Thank you very much. Thank you.